Hello there guys, it's the K74 weekly Rivals event yet again. Well, it's been up since last night, but I'm always a bit slow at getting these out because it's the time difference. I'm 6 hours behind you guys in the UK, so this is the next one. It's the Hilltop Scramble, which is on Fortune Island. Oh, it's in the RS200. I love that car, but I haven't got this track. That's so frustrating. You want to be going to the Rivals Challenge, that's the first one on the left with the little H, because that's going to make sure we're all in the same car, all using the same tune. I'm pretty sure I don't have this track, but I will have a look. But whilst I look, I'm also going to update you on what's been going on in Colombia. So, let's go over to Fortune Island first of all. Will it let me go? No. Island Rivals, non-available. That's a bit frustrating. I'll teleport over there. Purchase options? Yeah, I've already bought it. Do you mind giving it to me? Right, so for me then, it ain't working. Looks like I've got to install it again. That's a little bit annoying, isn't it? Why does my Xbox keep doing this? Or maybe it's got an update. No, it hasn't got an update. It just needs to be installed. I hope it's not reset all my progress or anything like that. That'd be a pain in the arse. Anyway, while this installs, and then I probably have to reboot Forza, etc., I'll update you on what's been going on. 7.34 gig? That'll take all fucking day on my connection. Right then, I'll update you on what's been going on in Colombia. I did upload a video, but I took it back down, where I was talking about people banging pans outside. And there was like a strike. Well, I used the word strike very loosely. It was more like an angry protest. But there is a strike on in Colombia. It's been on for several days, and it's because of changes in things like minimum wage and that kind of stuff. And some people are very angry about it, so they're protesting about it. So there is a genuine strike going on where there are people marching around the streets. I mean, like tens of thousands of people banging saucepans and making a hell of a racket in protest of the current mayor, and they want him gone. So I don't know whether it's a president or prime minister or what of Colombia. I don't look into Colombian politics much. I can't vote here. I have no say on what goes on with Colombian politics. So I don't get involved with them. But anyway, people are not happy because of these changes. So they're protesting, and there is a strike. So some of the things that have happened over the past few days, quite a few of the roads were blocked with allowing people to get in and out and stuff like that. There was a lot of protesters walking around the streets, but there's also quite a lot of people who have seen this as an opportunity to act like absolute twats. And it's those people that have been causing quite a lot of trouble. So if you saw my previous video before I took it down, I showed some footage of people looting places, smashing windows, and generally causing a bit of a nuisance. So these aren't the people that are just protesting, walking around the streets. These are people that are just being criminals. So my wife works at a bank that is in the downtown area, and branches of her bank have been smashed to pieces, all the windows smashed, and they've even had their cash points ripped out with the cash in them, so they've stolen all that. Some people also stole a bus and then used that bus to drive through the front wall of a shop so they could loot the shop. So a lot of shops have been looted, places have been smashed up and stuff. But all this is going on in the downtown area of the city, which is towards the south. I'm in the north of Bogota. Now, these actual strikes and protests are going on all across the country. This ain't going to be done before the end of this video, is it? It's like, what I'm telling you ain't going to last this long. Why did it delete Fortune Island? That's so annoying. But anyway, this is going on across the entire of Colombia, and I'm pretty sure that most of South America is having similar situations happening, which for one reason or another, but I think most of them are related to money, like the minimum wage problem and stuff like that. Now, because of this, the people that are just smashing stuff up and looting things, obviously, they are looking at people that have any kind of wealth, like people in nice houses or banks and things like this, as the enemy, which is why these buildings are being targeted. So towards the that part of the city where this is going on, there are quite a few private residences that have also been raided. So these are people's private homes that have been broken into and robbed. by hordes of people that are using these peaceful protests as an excuse for them to just go on crazy looting rampages. Now, it's not just people that are in quite wealthy houses. My wife's secretary, she's quite young and she bought an apartment in the south of the city because it's all she could afford. She's just got a new job. She's trying to establish herself in a new city. So she bought an apartment somewhere which is quite poor. Now, she sent some videos to my wife of people breaking into apartments that were not apartments, little houses. They're quite small little houses, like just a little apartment, really, that would be quite cheap. So she sent some video footage of people on her street breaking into neighbours' houses and robbing their stuff. And obviously, you break into someone's house, there's violence. You don't just break in and say, "Oh, can we have all your stuff? Thank you, bye." You know, they're breaking in there with sticks and things. So she was terrified. And she's got a bad leg, she can't walk properly, and she stayed at her house and there's people in her street trying to break in through her door. Fortunately, no one did break into her apartment, and the next day she stayed with her grandparents in a better part of the city. But yeah, it was a little bit chaos down there. And then a few nights ago, on the corner of my street, and I live in quite a nice area, but I live in apartments, and it's all apartments around this area. There are no just houses, it's all apartment blocks. But on the corner, not very far away from where I live, there was starting to be a little gathering of people. So the police got in contact with the owners of the buildings in this area, so obviously the person that owns this building and a few of the other ones, and they said there is a gathering of people, keep an eye on them. And the police said they advised all the residents to wear white clothing and to go down to the gate of their buildings with weapons to protect their building. So we had to go downstairs wearing a white hoodie whilst carrying like broom handles and things, and we all had to stand at the gate of our building to protect it from possible looters. Now, the crowd of people that were on the corner, they didn't come to our building, fortunately, but a few more people gathered with them. They started whistling and chanting and blowing horns and banging pans and things. And then there's a new complex of buildings which are just across the street from mine, and they tried to get into those buildings. So they got over the fences, and they was inside the grounds of the building on the ground floor, and they were trying to smash into the actual building itself, like getting through the doors. Once they're in through the doors, then obviously they're trying to get in the apartments and that kind of stuff. So that's what's been going on. So once we all stood at the doors with our weapons in hand and our white hoodies on, a couple of police helicopters flying above, loads of police cars and police motorbikes in the streets, waiting for the gang of looters to come and attack our building so that we could defend it. I've got to tell you, it was quite a frightening experience. So my Xbox and my laptop and my passports and stuff, these were hidden in obscure places around the apartment just in case our apartment did get looted. Now, we're on the top floor, so it feels like they're far away when you look at them down on the street. But it's not hard for someone to get into our building, and then the doors downstairs are all glass. And if they smash them and come through, the only thing separating them from us is a lot of stairs and then our front door. So obviously you feel like this kind of, it's like a false sense of security, because you look over your terrace and you see the people down on the road, they look far away. But if they do get into the building, there's nothing apart from some stairs that they can walk up that is between you and them, and then it's your front door. So obviously you're still vulnerable. So I recommended to my wife, look, we should hide anything that's important. So to me, that was obviously my Xbox and my laptop and my passport and things like that. So we just hid a few things in quite unusual, unexpected places that people wouldn't find if they started to loot our apartment. But as I say, fortunately, the looters didn't come to our apartment. They went to one that is really just across the road. Now, fortunately, the apartment block that they went to, I mean, we don't know anyone who lives in that one. It's quite a new apartment block. But directly across the road from us is the apartment block where Carol's parents live. They didn't go to that one or anything like that. But there was a big police presence, and police do carry weapons here in Colombia. They carry shotguns and automatic rifles. You always see two police together. One always has a shotgun, one always has an automatic rifle, and they always have pistols and batons as well. So they're quite well protected. But I mean, we saw people were sharing videos on WhatsApp of a police officer on a motorcycle and people attacking him and punching him and kicking him to the ground off his motorbike and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff going on where people who are criminals are using these peaceful protests as an excuse for them to go out and just smash stuff up and loot stuff and raid places and generally just do shit that they're not supposed to be doing. So that's been going on for a few days, but it's calmed down. There wasn't anything last night. So there were a few people walking around like around our street and stuff like that last night, banging pans and stuff. And the people who do this, it's kind of like their way of saying, we support the people that are on strike. But they're peaceful people. It was families, like with children, just walking around the streets, banging saucepans with wooden spoons. Fortunately, none of it got out of hand. But while this was happening last night, the main road, which is just along the street from us, there was a video of thousands of people walking down that road, all chanting and banging their pans, walking towards where our building is. And I was thinking, God, I hope this doesn't turn nasty. But those people didn't do anything wrong. There wasn't any violence. It was just people protesting about what they believe to be unfair. There are a lot of very poor people in Colombia, as you can possibly imagine. And it's these people that really they're not happy. And it's because of changes that have happened that affect things like, as I said before, minimum wage, pension, that kind of stuff. Things like an increase in the cost of fuel and those increases being passed on to the cost of travel. The transportation system in Colombia, the buses and things like that, those things increasing in prices. That's what all this is about. It's about people that can barely afford to live anyway, having to pay more money for the things that they need to be able to survive. So obviously they're angry about that. So that is what is causing this, and they're calling for the current, I don't know what he is. I don't know whether he's a mayor, a prime minister, a president, or whatever. But anyway, whoever sits in the political seat representing Bogota, they're calling for him to resign. So that's what they're doing. A similar thing has been going on in Chile. A similar thing is happening in several countries around Central and South America, and the protests have actually caused several people to resign from their positions, and in one situation it's caused someone to flee the country. So we don't know what's going to happen here. We don't know whether these protests are going to continue and then there is going to be some kind of reform, or it's going to topple the government or a military coup or whatever. But the other day, outside the apartment of my wife's brother, the military were getting involved. So I don't know whether they'd declared martial law or anything like that, but there was a military presence that was policing the streets. Now, there has been a lot of stuff that's been shared around on Facebook and things like that, where they're saying that a lot of this has been falsely created so the police look like heroes. I'm here, that's complete nonsense. There are peaceful protesters who are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and there are also absolute definite criminals that are just looting places, smashing up shops, robbing vehicles. I mean, they smashed up a supermarket, looted it, and the supermarket sells motorbikes, so they stole the motorbikes. I mean, I think the worst I've seen so far was the people who stole the bus, and then they used the bus to ram a shop and loot the shop. But you saw the security footage from inside the shop, and there were people in there when all the wall came in and the bus came through. So I know a couple of people have died. I don't know the extent of injuries, but I imagine that there are quite a few injuries. But it does seem now that it is getting back to normal. I'm not sure how long the peaceful protests will go on for, but it does seem that quite a lot of the violence has gone. So the other day, when it was at its worst, we had a couple of police helicopters overhead, loads of police in the streets, some police patrols walking around, gangs of people wearing white standing at the gates of each of the building, all brandishing different weapons from their kitchen, either a broom handle or whatever. So it was quite weird, actually, for that to be going on. And then we had, obviously, the negative gangs of looters that were mostly wearing dark clothes, which is why we've been told to put on white. And weirdly, there was a police helicopter above our apartment, and it had a police siren going. I've never heard a police siren on a helicopter before, but yeah, that was a new thing. So that's what's been going on over the past few days, which is part of the reason that I haven't been making videos on YouTube, because my Xbox during this has been hidden, just in case we did get looted. But last night was pretty fine. There hasn't been much going on today at all. It's all been pretty quiet. So I think that... I honestly think that that's it. But I'll keep you updated on what happens if anything else does happen. But I'd also like to say, Tia and Brandon, if you're watching this video, for God's sake, don't tell my mum and dad the extent of what was happening right outside my building, because they will worry. So we were safe. But if the looters had come to our building, the building owners were expecting us to fight. So I really wasn't very keen on that idea. I haven't got insurance in Colombia, and I know that Colombians have things like guns. I'm standing there with a broom handle. I'm thinking, no, this is crazy. I'd be quite willing to poke someone with my broom handle whilst they're trying to climb over the gate into our building. But I'm not up for a full-on brawl. That's insane. But I honestly think that the presence of people standing there with makeshift weapons in a big group, all wearing white, we did look like quite a formidable force. And I think that looters would think twice about trying to attack our building because of that group of people there. And I think that's really what it was about, as opposed to actually expecting us to have to do something. But yeah, the police were there, and also the actual security guards. There was only 2 security guards on our building at night time, and obviously we didn't know this was going to happen, so they hadn't scheduled for it. But the 2 security guards that are down on the building downstairs, they do have guns, so obviously that's a nice line of defence before our broomsticks. But also, because they're on their own, what we did throughout the night is we all took it in turn, and we had sort of shifts going down to spend time with them. So there was kind of like about 4 or 6 residents down with the security all the time throughout the night. So from 3 until 4 in the morning was my turn to be down there, and we kind of took like coffee and food down for the security. And stood there at the front of the building just in case anyone else came round. But when I went down, it was dead. 3 or 4 in the morning, it was quiet. So I thought it was quite wise choosing 3 to 4 in the morning, because I thought by this time the looters have probably all gone to bed. So least violence as possible. But yeah, there you go. That's what's been going on in and around Colombia. This is happening all over Colombia. It's not just in Bogota. It's in all of the other towns and cities as well. I'm not sure whether it is continuing in those places today or not. It was certainly going on for a couple of days. My wife was getting videos of different places where they were showing what was happening and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of videos of people just ripping the front off banks and, you know, using whatever they can find in the street as a battering ram to smash in the windows and things. And then there's obviously the other side of it, where there are videos being shared, particularly around Facebook, where police have been using tear gas to disperse crowds. And there's a lot of people saying, oh, it's just innocent people who are protesting because of the situation with the money and stuff like that, and the police are being quite aggressive about it and too heavy-handed. That's not the case at all. The people are genuinely committing crimes and doing things that requires you to shoot them with tear gas to stop them. The peaceful protesters that are just, I mean, it's not peaceful, they're banging pangs and keeping you awake all night. But those people are not being targeted or pestered by the police or anything like that. It's just the ones that, I don't even know if these people even believe in the cause or not. I just think it's a case of they've seen that there are these marches going on and they're using it as an excuse to commit crimes. Now, I mean, I did say it's all about money. It's about feeling like these people that are struggling anyway ain't going to have enough money. So it kind of made sense that we're targeting things like banks and stuff like that, and you can sort of see why they're doing that. But then it progressed onto just smashing up everything, causing a general mess everywhere, beating up people who are obviously very innocent, raiding people's houses, and also raiding poor people's houses, which sort of like defeats the entire point of their argument. When the secretary of my wife, she was taking video footage in her street where very poor people live. It's a very poor area of the city, And those places were having people just kick in the doors and run in there with, like batons and sticks and stuff. And obviously, they're not going to run in there and not be violent. They're running in there to loot the houses. They're pretty much definitely beating up the people that are in there too. So yeah, that's going on not just in the places that are wealthy, but also in the poor places too. So it's really, really out of order. So there we go. That is an update on what's happening here. I'll keep you posted as we continue, but I honestly think that's it. It seems like from last night that there isn't anything else going on, just a few people walking around doing proper, peaceful protesting because they don't feel like what is happening is fair, and they're going to struggle, and they're already struggling. So that I don't think there's a problem with that at all. It's just the idiots that have taken it upon themselves to loot and raid places whilst this is happening. So it's not a surprise that the police are firing tear gas and the army have got involved at all. I completely expect that. But for on Friday, they did put a curfew, so nobody was allowed out on Friday. That curfew ended on Saturday morning at 6 o'clock. On Friday night, the Filippo had to stay at the dog school. It's like from the dog school to here, on Friday when they would have normally brought him home, it was too dangerous. So they weren't prepared to bring the dogs home on Friday, so he had to stay overnight, and we had to go and collect him on Saturday morning. So on Saturday morning we went to collect him. That was his first time being away from us. I'm pretty sure that at the dog school he didn't get to sleep in a bed and lick people's faces all night like he does in our bed with us. So he was really excited on Saturday when we went to pick him up, and he's been extremely clingy since. But yeah, they deemed it too dangerous for the bus that normally brings Filippo and all the other dogs home to be out on Friday afternoon. So normally he'd come here at 5 o'clock, but by 5 o'clock on Friday there were a lot of gangs of people around the city. But the school is actually further north than we are, and it comes down to us. But we're still about 7 miles, 10 miles north of the centre of the city, and the north is the least of the problems. But we've still had some gangs of people around here. Now there is an area, a neighbourhood that's not too far away from here. It'd probably take about 10 minutes or so to walk to it. Now in between us and that neighbourhood there are a lot of expensive apartments, and then there's this neighbourhood that's quite poor just after those. So it was the people from that neighbourhood that were coming into our neighbourhood that were trying to break into the building that's next to ours. But I was thinking they've had to walk past 2 or 3 blocks worth of apartments to get to where we saw them. So I was thinking, what did they do then? Have they raided some of those buildings? Could they not get in them? Did they just decide to walk straight past them? But they'd come right to our neighbours. So I was thinking, that's not on their doorstep. Whereas there are some quiet luxury apartments that really are on their doorstep. And that's part of this problem. Especially in the downtown area, there are a lot of really, really nice, expensive apartments, which right outside their apartments, there are very, very poor areas where people are living in kind of ghettos, really, which they've, in a lot of cases, half built them themselves. So that contrast causes a lot of, stress and problems and anger, especially when you see, if you're poor and you can't afford food and the prices of everything are going up and the minimum wage is going down and your pensions are being messed with, and you can't afford to put gas in the car, you can't afford the public transport, and then right on your doorstep you can see like a very wealthy set of apartments with all luxury cars and everything. Obviously that's going to make you angry. And so I think it didn't really take much for those emotions to get a little bit out of hand. So there we go, guys. That's what's going on in Colombia. Sorry that I can't show you any footage of me playing Forza, but I've got to wait for this bloody thing to download. Annoying as hell, because my Xbox just keeps on deleting stuff. It's so frustrating. But I will tell you quickly what I bought the other day. Ride 3 is on the sale. I bought the deluxe version, whatever it is, the gold version, with all of the extra bikes and stuff, for about 22 quid. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. I've been playing through this morning on the career mode, and it is a lot of fun. But I still say it is not, it cannot touch the Isle of Man TT at all. And weirdly, in Ride 3, I have to play on chase view. On helmet cam or cockpit cam, it's not very good, it's not very easy. Whereas on the Isle of Man TT, it's the other way round. I feel like I have to be on helmet cam, where in Ride, those view options are a little bit difficult. But yeah, I'm playing in chase view, and I'm doing all right. I'm really enjoying it, but I need to do a lot more practice. But I might do a career playthrough and do videos on that. I've started my career already, so if I did do a career playthrough on Ride, I'd probably delete the very tiny bit of progress that I've already made and start it again from scratch, because it is pretty good. But I am finding that on some of the career, I'm struggling at all to get any stars. And you get like 1, 2, or 3 stars in most of the things that you have to do. And I'm struggling to get any stars at all. I'm struggling to compete. And then in other areas of the career, I am coming first by miles. So in those areas, I'm thinking I should be on a high difficulty. Where in other areas, I'm thinking, God, this is way too hard. I need to, turn it down a bit. So it's got some problems with balancing the difficulty levels. And there's a couple of little issues here and there. But those aside, it's a bloody good game, and it's got a lot of very beautiful motorbikes. If you like motorbikes, then just for looking at the bikes, it's worth buying. But yeah, that's on the sale that's on at the moment, where a lot of games are 50% or more off. And for the deluxe version, which I think is gold version or something, it was about 22 quid. So it's definitely worth picking up if you like motorbike games. Not as good as Isle of Man TT, but it's got a lot more tracks and a lot more bikes. I'd like to see a combination. I'd like to see Isle of Man TT just introduce all the other tracks from all the other games and a bunch of other bikes as well, because the actual riding of the bikes and the graphics and everything is superb. Can't wait for Isle of Man TT 2. But there we go. Anyway, that is the updates for those people that were wondering what was going on in Colombia. I know a couple of people have asked. Captain Tom, I saw that you had sent a message today saying what's happening in Colombia. You hope that everything's okay. So yeah, we're all okay, but it did get a little bit airy when we were standing at the front gates with sticks and things, waiting for the angry mob to loot our apartment, but they didn't. Thank God they went the other way. But there we have it. But I, as I've said many, many times now, I think that's it. I don't expect any more violence. I do expect the actual peaceful protest and the strike to continue. Fortunately, the day before all this started, we went shopping. So we have loads of food and all that kind of stuff. So if it got to a point where we weren't able to get food, because at one stage there was stopping any vehicles coming into the city, like delivering food to supermarkets and things. They're not doing that anymore, but if that had continued, and there's a lot of looting going on, so if shops had been looted and stuff and it broke down into anarchy, then we are quite safe inside our apartment for quite some time on the food that we have. But fortunately, it didn't go in that direction. It looked like it might for a bit, but it didn't. But there we go, guys. I will let you know if anything else happens, unless my Xbox is hidden and I'm fighting people with broomsticks down at the gate at the entrance to the building. But I'm really sure that we are now perfectly safe and the worst of it is over. I think it was really just Friday night where it all came to a head, and it seemed to now have calmed down a little bit. But if it does pick up again, I'll let you guys know. Right, see you all soon. Once this is finished downloading, I'll pop on Fortune Island. I might have to do a few races in order to be able to unlock the race, which is part of the rivals. But I really, really like the that RS200. So I want to do this one. So I'm just going to have to make sure I do whatever I need to do in order to be able to get into it. But as you can see, I've got to wait for the bloody update first. There we go, guys. I will see you all soon. Take care. Have an awesome day. And as I said before, Tia and Brandon, if you are watching this, or John, if you're watching it, or anyone else that knows me and knows my family, don't tell people that would worry. They already have enough things to worry about. So I'll see all you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.